Hey, hi, hello. Um, Hold on 1 second. We have people trying to get in that are having a hard time. Can you guys hear me okay? I can just check. Okay. Whew. It's actually quite loud. I feel like you can't see me because the technical difficulties. We are filming the Thank you so much.
Oh my god, so look at that.
It's pretty bad.
That's yeah.
It's echoey. Oh, thank you for your help.
Is that any better?
Yeah. I think my sound might be weird too. What a fucking mess. No, it's not better. Can you turn the light on?
It's like that web 1.0 quality.
Yeah, it's
right?
pretty rough. All right, this sounds okay. Jesus Christ, what a fucking mess. So,
Get the light on?
you can leave the light on. Yeah,
I mean, did you get the...
I will. Try to plug it in here. There we go. Dear God. Okay.
Oh, hello.
We have been. I'm definitely on a live stream. All right. Thank you, family. Real professional operation here. Is that what it is? Oh yeah, that is a little bit of it. Jesus.
Like steamy zen in here. Steamy.
All right. Much more clear. Thank you. You're cute. So we are filming the manifestation course, which is why my hair is out of the messy bun and I have makeup on for the first time. But I had taken my ring light and I had taken my whole setup down to the studio. I was using it for a teleprompter and I was using the ring light for the manifestation course. And anyway, Mark was out getting dinner and I realized I didn't have any of my stuff. It was all locked in the studio. So here we are. He came back. We got the stuff. There's your fucking explanation you didn't ask for. Okay. So we got everybody in, I think, right? We did? Okay. Hopefully. Thank you guys for being here. I see a bunch of people. It's so funny the different like groups of people you get when you do the live streams at different times. So thank you, $20 tier, for being chill about a couple less pieces of content this month. It means a lot. For the last week and a half, some sort of like swing back of anxiety. I felt like pretty good mentally and emotionally for a while there. And then I started having just kind of crazy panic. And I was having a lot of physical symptoms that I felt like was this infection over again, just like crazy heart stuff. And a lot of eye stuff. And then a lot of like nerve pain in my face. And so I'm like, okay, this is Bartonella. I booked, my doctor is a saint. And so I booked a last minute appointment. She had a cancellation and we went in and she was like, I think you're having anxiety. I think this is what this is. And, it can cause crazy heart stuff. And, she's a medical doctor, but she does some energy stuff. And so made me feel a lot better. And like, it made me feel reassured, I guess, because it didn't get rid of the symptoms. But then she gave me, she recommended a supplement that has magnolia tree bark. It's derived from magnolia tree bark for anxiety. She was like, just try this for anxiety for a minute, and then let's see. And I've been taking it at night for 4 nights. And today I had 0 heart palpitations. And like, I don't even know how to describe how I felt for the last week. Was like, I don't know if it was a week because the time's weird, but it felt like my nervous system was short circuited. So I was like very reactive, very like irritable, which I'm very rarely irritable. I was just triggered at the drop of a hat. I was having nightmares. And I would wake up with heart palpitations. And anyway, so far so good. Seems to have gotten better. I think it was helpful also to just know it was anxiety. So anyway, really looking forward to whatever new pocket of Matrix bullshit I enter into after this, and I can stop doing health updates. Just kidding. Not tempting the universe. Did I miss anything here on the live? We got some compliments on the overhead light. Let me grab this. I'm obviously not a doctor, so I'm not giving medical advice. I'm just telling you about something that I tried. I did a bunch of research on magnolia bark afterwards, which is what this is derived from. But this is DHHB. And literally, I can't read anything else on it. Whatever the fuck that says. It says DHHB. This is really good so far. I mean, like, could we not with the pastel labels? Some of us can't fucking see anything. But when I was Googling it, magnolia tree bark came up, and I had asked Lacey if she knew anything about it, and she said she loves magnolia tree bark. And we have a magnolia tree here, so if I run out, I'm just going to chew on it. But the progression of like my nervous system coming out of just full tilt, which is interesting because it's obviously, I'm assuming it's coming from the things that just happened, but I've described this, all the symptoms to multiple friends who have said they're dealing with the same thing. So makes you sleepy. She said to take it at night. And I took it at night, and it's been very helpful. So I am going to start with, this is my favorite subject. I love to talk about interdependence. Hold on, I have to get rid of a notification. So I'm going to start with the Patreon questions because I feel like a lot of times I end up not getting to that. I end up not getting to them. All right. Orion Andromedan. I was adding an extra syllable to everything. Said, my question is regarding old traumas in the relationship arising still in the dream realm, waking up heartbroken and hurt over things of the past. These dreams have a haunting tone. They suck and put me in a weird place. but he thinks they are okay. We don't fight or bicker. It's the deep stuff that was pulled out of us that I'm still apparently having a hard time letting go. How to go about releasing the big wounds to finally lay the narrative to rest. Okay, that's interesting. What I think you're saying is that there was some big trauma early in the relationship and you've tried to let it go, but it's showing up in dreams. That whole like dream thing, like I have had dreams, you have dreams that they cheated on you and then you wake up and you're like mad at them. It's like they didn't even happen, but it happened in the dream realm. It felt very real. I just had one of those recently. Assuming I read this right and that you're talking about trauma actually between the two of you. My experience with taking a big relationship hit, like, I don't really know. Some of this is a little bit vague, so I'm not sure that I'm going to answer it correctly. The dream part, I would assume, is it's trying to shine a light on things that you haven't released, is what I would assume the dreams are trying to. Oh, is this you, Luna? The dreams are trying to highlight to you that there is still a wound here. Okay, perfect. Are these wounds like fights we used to have or a betrayal? Because those are a little bit different. I have experienced infidelity type stuff in multiple long-term relationships. And it destroyed one relationship. And then in the next relationship, I was able to prevent it from destroying the relationship. But the interesting thing, when someone has betrayed, there has been a betrayal. So basically an affair, emotional affair, cheating, whatever, something like that. The onus is really on, if you want to save the relationship, the onus is really on both people to be able to survive the processing of it. So, okay, betrayals. I didn't want to go on a big ass thing and then it not be it. So in my first marriage, I try to figure out how to tell the story without talking too much about my second husband. But in my first marriage, he cheated on me several times and is kind of, I married a virginal pastor's kid who just like really hadn't had a chance to experience life. And then I kind of opened his eyes to sex and drugs and everything else. And then I became a Christian and wanted to just settle down. And, it's just whatever. It really wasn't the end of the world when I look back. But it's triggered me so bad and it set me over the edge. How I found out every time is that he confessed every time. I mean, he felt so fucking terrible. And, but I couldn't let it go. And so I would like make him relive it over and over again so I could process it. And then there came a point where you go from processing to like ruminating. You go from a productive processing to a using it as leverage. It pops up every time they do anything you don't want them to do. It's like, oh yeah, well, I had to carry this wound. Like, even if it's just inside of you, it becomes not productive anymore. And I realized through destroying that relationship that the onus was on me to, if I ever experience a betrayal like that again, it is possible to weather it depending on the circumstances. Sometimes people just are showing you who they are, but for me now at this point, something like that, a betrayal like that isn't always a betrayal. It isn't a premeditated, sometimes it's a symptom of something wrong in the relationship. Sometimes it's early in the relationship. The person wasn't ready to commit, whatever. It's not a deal breaker for me anymore, but it depends on the circumstances. But we are going to take a hit. in this relationship. Like, we are going to take a hit. And the only way that I'm willing to weather the timeline you just put us on with this shit is that if you're willing to sit down and let me process it and be open and vulnerable while I'm processing it. And a lot of times people can't do that. A lot of times people, they betray their ex through whatever infidelity or emotional affair or whatever. And they want to stay in the relationship, but they like literally have so much guilt and shame, or they're just assholes. But I think things are usually more nuanced than that. They have too much guilt and shame to sit there and take, well, we see a lot of this in all areas of society. People have a really hard time dealing with the fact that they're the problem, or that they were complicit in the problem, or that they hurt somebody else. And so they're very resistant to being vulnerable in those situations. So I had a similar kind of thing with my second marriage. It was kind of a open marriage, and there was some poorly discussed boundaries, and so it ended up feeling like getting cheated on, because it went on for a really long time, and I wasn't privy to it, and I wanted to be privy to everything, whatever. When it came time to process it, it felt like cheating. And that partner was initially very resistant to just sitting down and doing this work, but he felt me kind of drift pretty quick. And so then he did it. I mean, he just sat there, and for about 3 months, our whole relationship revolved around me like working through it. And we would go on date nights every Friday night, because we had fucking 4 kids at this point, and we were working through it. And we were also like the relationship has taken a hit, so our foundation is in danger. And so we were very conscious of everything. We were conscious of bickering. We were making sure that we were physically connecting enough, that we were being kind and patient with each other. But then we would go on these date nights and just fucking get through it. And then for the rest of the week, we had kids to raise and jobs to go to and shit. And there came a point where I had processed it, but I had also grown addicted to the amount of attention that I was getting. I got to find enough of attention in the relationship, but there is something addicting about being the victim. There is something addicting about being in a power position in the relationship, even though I don't like that stuff, but I'm being honest when I say that the world revolved around making me okay for a few months, and that is addicting. I've experienced that in like the world revolving around me being okay, getting better from sickness. I mean, there's nothing wrong with that. There is something, it wasn't a very nurturing relationship. We weren't very vulnerable people. And I think that we were experiencing a lot of vulnerability there. It also is just, it feels good to be right. It feels good to be the good guy, And so there came a point where we had processed everything we could process. And I had grown addicted to being the victim. And how that showed up for me was I knew that he wasn't continuing this behavior. Like, I knew that. I knew that in my discernment. I knew that. We went on a vacation. I don't know. Something happened. He was distant. He didn't want to have sex. Something stupid. And I unraveled and made it about, oh my God, are you doing this again? And if I'm being honest, I knew damn well he wasn't doing this again. But I had grown attached to that storyline, to that timeline. And so that's when I realized, like, okay, we've reached the end of processing. And this story, this entire experience needs to be wrapped up and put away. And I can't pull it back out. I can't pull it back out every time he doesn't want to wash the dishes. I can't pull it back out every time he forgets a fucking birthday or whatever. It's on me, the victim in this situation. If I want this relationship, he did his part. He did his part in this situation. There are a lot of people whose partners aren't willing to do that part, I had a sibling who got cheated on and he wasn't willing to do the work. He got very defensive and was like, I said I was sorry. You know, it's been like fucking 6 days. I don't know what to say for people in that situation because you just like each relationship has a foundation. You just rocked the foundation. You just caused me a paradigm shift to where I don't know what's real or whatever. So if you're not willing to sit here and do this work, then like, I don't know. I haven't seen a lot of relationships survive that sort of thing, but I have seen people come together and go, okay, you know, a lot of times like emotional affairs and stuff, they're a symptom of like a couple that's growing apart or whatever. Or like I said, their early relationship and it's like someone's avoidant and hasn't settled in yet. So I put it away and I literally never brought it up again. And I really didn't allow it to pop into my mind. I had made the decision that we were done here. In this situation, I knew that it was not going to happen again. In the first marriage, I couldn't put it away and I didn't put it away. And every single time he pissed me off, I threw it in his face and I had nightmares about it. And I just never got over it and it kept happening. And I don't know if that's because my body knew like this person wasn't ready to be in a like committed relationship, or I was just so addicted to my own stories back then that, you know, I think I wanted traumatic relationships to reflect back my stories to me. So, I don't know if those things apply to your situation. The letting it go, full disclosure, I mean, this was like when this happened was during, you know, the I can't feel my feelings portion of my life. What I'm learning now is that I can mentally put something away and emotionally, and my body is very much like, bitch, we are not done. We are grieving. And I'm like, well, I have compartmentalized this already though. Why are we grieving? But it is pretty much, somebody asked about forgiveness in this. Yeah. So why don't I segue to that question real quick and then hopefully my brain goes back. You know, I use the trope like forgiveness is a gift you give to yourself. For me, forgiveness, I don't like stuff. I don't like physical stuff. You can't tell that by the room that has not been cleaned since I was in the hospital, but I am I don't like things running in the background. And resentments to me, like having to stay mad at somebody, feels like I have hoarded a bunch of stuff and I have to process it all the time. So I forgive everything. And I really don't even have to try because it feels like, oh, you don't get to also live in my head. You know what I mean? You did what you did. You got what you came for. And this is for people that I'm very forgiving for like people I like, you know. Am I going to fucking not like resent you? Seems odd. But like for people that just fucked me over and then left my timeline, the guy that molested me, the abusive ex, you know, I'm not doing anything to them by holding a resentment. It's literally just taking up like space in my head rent free. Like that's it. It's just taking real estate. I can't remember how to get to Target because my brain is, you know, full, and it's full because I am like staying mad at somebody. My overall view on life is that everybody is doing the best with what they've got. I mean, I have known some gnarly, literal narcissists, and you know, they got fucking left at a convenience store by their mom when they were 2. I mean, it's trauma that causes people to be shitbags. And so, you know, the guy who molested me probably got molested. I mean, that's the really sad thing about sexual abuse, specifically like child molestation, is it's just gets passed down. So I was fortunate enough to get help and not become that, but like, I don't know. forgiving someone, like releasing the resentment for myself to free up bandwidth for me, is a gift I'm giving myself. Forgiving someone and forgetting, or what, like letting them back. I literally forget, but letting them back in to do the same shit, I don't do that, you know. But I do give people second chances and sometimes third chances if like it feels like, you know, maybe not on the third chances. I don't know. By my age now, I'm very rarely surprised by people. People do shit to me, and I'm like, kind of knew that was coming. So the sensation that if I forgive somebody, I'm letting them off the hook when we're talking about a horrible ex. I would just get into an observation place. So that means like, okay, why don't I want to forgive this person? And then kind of zoom back and look at your logic there. Because if you're just forgiving them as in like, I'm not letting this fuck my nervous system up anymore. I'm not letting this fuck my new relationships up anymore. I'm not letting this live here anymore. And you choose to forgive them and never say anything to them, they literally don't know the difference. So the letting them off the hook is it's almost like it's a parasite. Resentments are they're kind of parasitic. And when the aliens first explained to me what demons were, they said that demons were actually like jealousy, envy. They were resentment, bitterness. You know, they said that they were energies that attached to people and would lure them in with like external enemy narratives. And then once people bought in, then they would like hook on and feed off of you. And that's really interesting because that is literally what envy can do. You know, envy is very normal, but you can become this kind of like bitter, shriveled, whatever, because you're feeding this parasite. So it's the same thing, like a gnarly's the word today. I've been hanging out with Mark all day. Gnarly resentment, where it's like you're thinking about it all the time. You're blaming your life experiences on it. You know, every time you have a difficult love situation, you go, see, this is because they did that, whatever. You're feeding an energy that isn't your own energy. And so you're actually losing again. You are letting them off the hook because you're still suffering. So forgiveness is a gift you give yourself. And when it's a situation like this one, if I want to stay in a relationship, I have to let this go, because this is one thing I'm going to get into if I can, when I do the relationship one. But we are very reckless with relationships, and they're actually very delicate. I see it as each relationship has a finite emotional well, and it's different for different relationships. And if you drain that well by playing out your stories, then a relationship that could have potentially been 10 years, you just shortened it to 2 years because you drained the well. And they also have delicate foundations. And if you're reckless and don't take responsibility for your own triggers and project your bullshit onto people, you can damage the foundation. And if the relationship takes a hit, and a relationship can take a hit from a betrayal, a relationship can take a hit like what, you know, I'm going through right now. You know, Mark and I are trying to be very cautious because there's all this grief and all this, you know, trauma and all this, like, you know, I'm knocked off my square, so I need more than I usually need, and he needs more space than he usually needs. And so we are kind of like, okay, this is not normal life. We spent all this time building this foundation, so let's make sure that we're protecting the foundation over anything else. And the foundation is the thing that's supposed to hold the weight of when life gets difficult, or one of you is going through things, or you're trying to, you know, this relationship is providing you a strength to bounce off and do things outside your comfort zone. So when we start chipping away at that, sometimes you can go too far. And I don't think needing more time to grieve is an issue. I think take as long to grieve as you need. My past behaviors included like turning it into drama or throwing it in their face. Isn't it? It's fucking, I have thought of that. I've had some very Venus retrograde things. Sissy says, how do you decide when something is worth bringing up to your partner and what is too trivial and not worth causing hurt feelings? This has been my method for, I'm a texter. If I get triggered, I'm like, I'll go in the bathtub and text, because I'm non-confrontational. But what I have found to be a really effective method of bringing things up, there are a lot of things where I just go, this is stupid. Am I being ridiculous? I might be being ridiculous. But if I do I don't get triggered very often. So on this relationship, if I do get triggered, I present it that way. That way you can talk about whatever you need to talk about, but you're also not automatically accusing. So like the old relationship paradigm was, I feel this way, so you did something wrong. And the new relationship paradigm is, I feel this way, I'm projecting it onto you. Could we have a conversation? Can you hold space while I work through this? And so when I am triggered, that's how I bring it up. And I say, I'm triggered right now and I'm potentially projecting. That never feels true when I say it, by the way. It's getting a little bit better. But when I first started doing that, which was in this relationship, in my head, I'm like, I'm not projecting. You're fucked up. And, I'm absolutely right. Whatever. I was like, I hated saying that, but I would make myself say it because I know historically in the rear view, I go, God damn it, I was projecting. It also makes the other person, maybe not immediately. It takes a while to like develop trust in this communication style. But if they've had a relationship in the past, or if you two have had a relationship in the past where they were getting accused, then they might just immediately get defensive. But you just have to reiterate, I just want to talk about my feelings, and also like read the room of the timing, which I'm terrible at. When I get triggered, I feel like we need to deal with this right now, this second, nothing else can get done. And I'm really working on that. But luckily we don't have a lot of that stuff. But historically, I have the worst timing. So I'm feeling triggered. I'm not telling you that you're doing something wrong. I want to talk to you about my feelings, and I'm possibly projecting onto you. Another thing I've started saying is, like, I've started bringing it up pretty early into the conversation that everything that I experience outside of me is a reflection from inside of me. So a big one for me is that nobody ever takes care of me when I'm sick or hurt or weak. I always surround myself with people where I'm the strong one all the time. And no one has historically, this is a story. Like I have a bunch of friends who are perpetually in crisis, and I'm always the one that's bailing them out. But then when I'm going through shit, nobody gives a shit. My partners never take care of me when I'm sick or when I'm weak. I still have to do everything. When Phoenix was born, I was left alone by everyone. And my husband went to work the next day. I stayed up all night with Phoenix. And then I was just like taking care of a baby with no help. And that actually did happen. But as time went on, I realized that this is my own story because I hate being vulnerable. I hate being weak. I hate being the one that needs things. And so I reflect out this, like, I get that. That's the experience I get. And that the more I've become vulnerable, the more I start to be taken care of. And it's something that, like, Mark and I have worked through. I got here and got Lyme. We didn't even really know each other. We met 6 weeks before that. It was kind of crazy pandemic shit. And then I got Lyme, and then I was just like in bed all the time. And after I got better and I was talking about it, he's just like, I didn't realize you were that sick. And I'm like, how the fuck did you not realize I was that sick? And he didn't know me. So he's just like, this bitch sits in bed a lot. But it was because I didn't want him to see that. So I never said, hey, can you help me? It's really hard for me to ask for help. I like pay my friends. I insist on paying my friends if they help me move or whatever. Like, I can't handle people doing things for me. You guys know, you're on the Patreon. You've watched that meltdown. So taking responsibility for that stuff. So if I'm going to say, like, before saying, like, you're not taking care of me, I'm sad because you're not taking care of me, which I think is what people think conscious communication is. I say, I have stories about people not taking care of me. So I've had this life experience a lot. I'm currently having that reflected back to me by you. So I know it's my shit. And this is how I feel. Sorry. And I'm triggered. This is my opening line. I'm triggered. So, and I feel cortisol pumping through my system. So there's a good chance this isn't even real. I'm very well projecting onto you because this is a story of mine. So at the very minimum, you are just playing a role for me, but this is the thing. And by that, I've just like let him off the hook and let him explain himself. A lot of times it's a misunderstanding. And a lot of times it's literally my projection. It's literally my projection or my expectation or my desire for him to be something other than what he is, or expecting him to operate at a level of, psychically reading my mind or being more vulnerable than he's simply capable of being at this moment. And so a lot of times, I say half the time it's my shit. And the other half of the time, I'm making it sound, we've had like 9 conflicts since we met, but the other half of the time, it has been like, yeah, a misunderstanding. Just like, oh, I didn't know this is what you needed, or whatever. Just like a miss. And we've been able to just like kind of solve it because nobody's being accused of being bad. So I think the old paradigm is just like good boyfriend, bad boyfriend, good girlfriend, bad girlfriend. And it's like, we're just like constantly trying to like convince. I have found, not in this relationship, but in my last relationship, I had a very strong desire to control the other person. And he was just like so good at boundaries that he just was not having it. All right. How do I co-parent with someone who is living in a completely different reality and can't even look at me alone, be nice, let alone be nice, even in front of the kids, which drains my energy after I've already worked so hard to move on from the tumultuous twin flame relationship we had, which I'm proud of myself and in a much better place. And now all this behavior does emotionally mess with the kids, which inevitably triggers me a lot of the time. I've had relatively positive co-parenting relation. Actually, there are a lot of people that wouldn't say it. I haven't had a lot of co-parenting conflict with my exes. I've had a lot of absence. But I know a lot of people close to me that have difficult co-parenting relationships. And I would say in this situation, if you two being around each other in front of the kids is negative for the kids, do some sort of pass off that doesn't involve you two being around each other, and minimize contact in whatever way you need to. If I'm just being honest on the energy of this, you're working really hard to get over this, and the kids are still the connection to this person. And so the things that this person won't give you in the relationship, there's a part of you that wants to like lock into that power struggle over the kids. And this is very common, right? So it's like, I know someone whose ex divorced them kind of quickly and brutally. And then he wanted to lock into a lot of like power struggles over their son. And I was like, not the same situation, but similar. Like it's, the other pain is still so raw and there, even though you're processing it. Every time there's a trade-off with the kids and you have this sort of thing, there is still part of you that is like, I just want you to be the old you, or I want you to be nice to me, or I want this kid, like whatever. Not like I want to get back together necessarily, but like it's just ripping that wound over and over again. I would say if the kids are not getting anything positive out of it, pull up in front of each other's houses, walk the kids up to the porch and let the kids in. A lot of times this stuff is temporary. Like a lot of times the first few years after a split or a divorce, it feels like we're going to hate each other forever, and then 5 years down the line, you're like, you guys are friends and you're able to do birthday parties and stuff together. Not always, but a lot of times. So I would say minimize contact. And I feel like you might not like that answer, but that's the answer. Minimize contact, because what I feel like in the energy is I want him to be something different. And he's not. He's not right now, at least. Tony said, looking forward to this live stream, but only if you're up to it. Thank you. I'm up to it. What if it? This is my new mud water. It was making the mud water give me palpitations. Every time I drank mud water, I'd be fucked up all day. All right, cool. I'm just calling everybody out. That's it. Okay. So let's get started on questions in here. That's cool to hear. It's one of my favorite, you know what that episode was the week that this triggered it. It was the week that I found out I was the problem in my twin flame thing that had been over for months. But I knew someone else that was on the receiving end, or Mark was on the receiving end of somebody else's anxious attachment. And like to hear it from that perspective, I was like, oh my God, what? And then like the voice in my head was like, come on, you were just doing all of this. And so I realized, but so that Interdependence Bill of Rights was kind of written to all of my exes. A lot of people have been having it. So here, I'm not going to get into this too far, but the downloads I've been getting are that the old grid is too fucked up. I don't know if that was always the plan or what, but it's a mess. It's too fucked up. And so we are trying to move everyone to the new grid. The thing that I don't know if I've talked about, but do you guys remember Hide Your Consciousness in the 6th dimension? Cute. That's been coming back. That's been popping back up. And the 6th dimension, when we got the 6th dimensional downloads, it was in January of 2020. And I got very little information about it. And it's the thing that makes everybody kind of like revving at the starting line. It's passion, it's manifestation, it's creative energy. I think it's the supernatural energy that I'm talking about. And so it was odd that like, I know so much about the 5th dimension and so much about the 7th dimension is what they mean for here. And I got very little about the 6th dimension, and I've started getting a lot of 6th dimensional downloads that it's literally like consciousness technology. And I think the reason I didn't get a ton of info about it is because it wasn't time. It was like we downloaded it and then it has just been sitting there making you feel like you're not doing anything. And we're supposed to move to the new grid, which is 6th dimensional, I guess. Maybe it's that. It's passion, creation, manifestation, energy. When I get all the the downloads fleshed out, I will share more. But ADHD, I have no fucking idea why I was. Oh, I think that staying on the old grid is causing anxiety. And will continue to cause anxiety and nervous system stuff. Seth Lyon is going to come on the show. I think we're going to record on the 10th. And this is what I want to get into with him because he seems like the one to talk to about it. But anyway, I think that's why a lot of people are having the heart palpitations. All right. Well, cool. That's what I was just talking about. Yeah. It's a very interesting paradox because on one hand, I feel like there's an opportunity for this year to be an absolute blast. And there's an opportunity for this year to absolutely rock you. I wouldn't be surprised if a lot of crazy things happen in reality. I feel like it's almost hack to predict that right now because like everything's hanging on by a thread. I mean, we're on the brink, right? But even if they don't, this like mass kind of collective psychotic break is going to continue. It's kind of like lose it or wake up, you know? But this thing, like, yes. Yeah. And trust all these little things. Like, you know, I'm not a prepper, but I've got some food, you know, stored up. I've got a life straw. I've got some stuff in case there's a nuclear fallout, you know. I've got an underground bunker. Just kidding. I have priced them though. I'm not afraid of it, but I just am like, you know, you don't have to be, it's a little weird. It's a little sketchy out here. You know, there's no food on the grocery store shelves. Thank you. That's very nice. Hi. Good to see you. I know. I'm like, I can't see anything, but I just assume everyone else can. DHH-B. Thank you for saying I'm stunning. I have not worn makeup in a very long time. Mark kept telling me I was pretty all day and the whole time we were shooting. And I was like, dude, it's just that I haven't washed my hair since November. You're just not used to it. He did also tell me that I smell like an old skating rink he was like in the most sincere compliment. He was like, oh my God, you smell so good. It's like a old skating rink. And I was like, oh, okay. I need to switch shampoos. All right. Oh, it's so hard for the manifesting generators, man. All right, let me get your second one. This might not work. I haven't been doing much with cards. Okay. We're not going to solve this here, but the big answer is belief in separation, belief in being alone and separate. And it's almost like this stuff's so annoying sometimes. It's almost like trying to get rid of importance creates more importance. I was thinking today about what a fucking pain in the ass, like trying turns things into weird. I'm making this manifestation course and it is filming me being me. And I was like, it's so funny how I can make it weird trying to play myself. Like play myself in a movie. Like I'm playing a character and the character is myself. And I'm like trying. So it's weird. Like we had to take a million different takes on the first part of it because I was like performing myself. It's kind of the same thing when we're like, yeah, I want to get okay with being single. So that I can get a partner. Okay, thank you. It's like, can I just get a fucking... Okay, for you, what this is not importance. It's not like desperation. It's not like I need this right now. It is a belief that you can't have it. It is a belief that you will be alone. And a fear, kind of. Probably not conscious. So when you are manifesting that partner, it doesn't feel true to you. That's what's creating that feeling. So I would explore, same thing. That's the bigger energy, right? So I would explore a belief, like an underlying impression or belief that you can't have that kind of love, or you can't have a partner that understands you or sees you or whatever. Like, I was very subconscious kind of program. I thought you were done apologizing forever. I thought we were done with that. I have a few different thoughts. I have my my general overall thoughts, which are, if I was in a position where I couldn't manifest doing something I love, I would just go back to doing something I don't love, hit a baseline, and then move over. I don't know what if my financial situation needed it. If the shit hit the fan and I was no longer making a living doing art, and it got to a point where I couldn't survive, I would go sell cars or wait tables. And I don't have to do it forever. I just have to do it long enough to get to a place where I'm not worried about survival. So I don't know how much freedom you have. You have a partner that helps with the bills or something also. and you have more time to go through it. When I read your it's a belief that you probably like the societal, deeply embedded societal program that you can't make money doing something you like. So I would observe that program as often as possible. It's funny. I've like, where did I just covered all this in the course. I would put like an alarm in your mind that every time you think about money or lack or anything, that you are catching yourself and paying attention to it, because somewhere in there is a story about how you can't make money doing art, starving artists. And then also, if you hate rich people or resent that whole thing, look there too, because that's another. Like, really resent people who have like freedom, financial freedom, and then therefore we can't create it for ourselves. Those are mine off the top, but if none of those work, go get a regular job, manifest a job that you will like. That's one thing that people don't. So like, put on the 2 cups. One, put unemployed. Second one, put making whatever you need to make that just feels believable. Making $40,000 a year is a job that I find stimulating, creatively fulfilling, fun, and manifest that job, because we believe that we have to get paid by somebody else. Self-employment is really difficult for, jobs of freedom and no schedule and stuff. That we don't believe we can have that. And so you just don't want to be trying to survive at the same time you're trying to manifest that. So I do not recommend anybody quit their job and then try to manifest a life as an artist. I recommend having a paying job and then doing that, just because it's a faster transition. It's just harder to. It's like trying to change lanes in the sky versus trying to like get up to the sky over there at the same time. These analogies are just really falling apart. Yeah, I mean, I've said this 1,000 times and then it never comes out, but I do believe that the season 2 opening is, if I don't accidentally jump a timeline or end up in the hospital, the first episode of season 2 of AOD is coming out. And so far, what it's about is about our roles as starseeds and what we are supposed to be doing. And a lot of what I got was that a lot of what you did in your old world, your old life, is supposed to inform, because we're the transition team. So we keep just like fantasizing about the new world rather than creating the new world, and you create the new world to a transition. And instead we're going, what am I going to want to do for the rest of my life, as if we have any fucking idea what the world's going to look about. And it's like, if you are an advertising agent, create a conscious advertising company. There's a market for all this stuff. Create a sorry, someone's trying to get in. Create a transition, do advertising for people. Everybody wants to do some like big content. I do it's like 5 jobs. And the downloads that I've been getting are like, you spent time doing the thing that you did for a reason, to pick up skill sets. How do you turn that into something that is conscious for a lot of people? Not for everybody, for a lot of people. So I think part of the reason that matches the downloads like I kept getting about like, you can't find it because it hasn't already happened. So a lot of the reason that people aren't moving forward is because they're waiting for some inspiration, because they're trying to escape the old thing. And I think this might start to shift as people go like, actually, I ran nonprofits and now I'm going to run this one kind of nonprofit or whatever. I don't know. None of these examples are good, but Oh, I love that. I love it. I think most people would be surprised to find out I'm not a prepper. You are, yeah, that's Canada, huh? Yeah, I actually wear a perfume called Old Skating Rink. Kelsey. I did already get to the questions dropped on the Patreon app. I did yours, sissy. Yeah, I did a whole big ass thing a little bit back. That's not for me. It does feel very, I mean, anytime where you're like, take your consciousness and hide it in a different dimension, that's either Aquarius or Pisces, right? Hell yeah. Congratulations. I love that. I love hearing people's, if you guys ever do the 2-cup method and something cool comes out of it, let me know. I love those stories. Including the ones where you accidentally manifested something funny. I mean, is there anything worse, literally, than Starseed? I was just gonna reference buy a bag of rice. This was my like prepper advice in 2020. Is I was like, I don't know. There's a lot of food shortage being said, and so a lot of times you will see that reflected back. So maybe just get a bag of rice, which is literally all I did in 2020, and I haven't done much more than that. We got a bag of rice and a fucking some beans. Hopefully it makes sense. Damn. Sometimes they take a while. Sometimes they happen the next day. The ones that happen the next day tend to be pretty fucking jarring. All right. Well, I am going to go get this fucking makeup off my eyes. You know, when you don't wear makeup for 2 years because you're locked in a house, it can be pretty hard to remember to stop running your fingers through the mascara in your eyes. I am curious if you guys are seeing more energy or more crazy beings. I have been dealing with some eye stuff, but the energy has been like, when I'm on psychedelics, it's almost like blah, 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 but it's spinny fractals or whatever the fuck. Looks like a bunch of spider webs spinning on each other. And I have been seeing that the last couple of days very, very fucking vividly. I think shit's about to get weird. I think it's about to get good weird, but we really need to figure out our nervous systems. I think the solution to everything is meditating. And I say that as a person who still hasn't meditated. I say that as a person who has a meditation room now. I was like, you know what we need to do before I meditate? It's this thing, you know, you do when you're like, I'm going to go on a diet or I'm going to get an exercise regimen. You know what I need to do? I need to buy the shoes. I need to buy the workout equipment. I do that with meditation. It's like you can literally just sit on the bed and meditate, I'm pretty sure. But I'm like, we need to convert the TV room that we never use into a meditation room. And now it is a completely still unused room. So I'm sure that's the answer to all of it. I'm sure that I would just be like, I could have levitated my laptop up here to do this, but I was, you know, not meditating. All right. That's it. That was my brain logging off, I guess, before I did. See you guys next month. Love you. Bye. Oh, I didn't hit end.